Hey y'all, it's Paula. We're back with another video. This one's gonna be a story time. Um, so get your snacks, get your drinks, and brace yourself. Because it's kind of a long one, and I'm gonna make it as short as I can, but I don't know how short I'm gonna be able to make it. But yeah. So let's just jump right in. So as most of y'all know, I am in a wheelchair. If you watch my last video, you know I was born with spinal bifida. That's kind of, that's my channel, and that's the whole thing. So, um, when I was in elementary school, I had to have surgery on my ankles. My ankles the bones were growing abnormally, and they wanted to fix them so that I would be able to wear shoes properly without them like making blisters and just giving me all kinds of issues. So they go in and they break my ankles and they reset the bone and cast them. So I wore a cast for like 6 weeks. So for the surgery, I missed probably, I don't know, a week and a half of school, something like that. I'm in 4th or 5th grade, I want to say. It was 4th or 5th. I was in elementary school, I know that much. I had this one teacher who just did not like me. I don't know why. Couldn't tell you why. She just didn't like me. And I'm the type of person, I want everybody to be happy-go-lucky and friendly and non-confrontational, because I'm non-confrontational. I don't like conflict. I don't like confrontation. Don't like fighting. I just don't. It's not my thing. And it was even worse when I was younger. I've kind of learned to stand up for myself now, but not in high school or elementary school. So after my surgery, I go back to school, and I go into class, and Mrs. Red is what we'll call her. What we'll call the teacher. She just, every time she looked at me, you could just tell she just didn't like me. So we had a test that day, and I had just gone back to school after, like I said, like a week and a half. So I had no clue what was on this test. No idea. And I knew I was going to fail. I didn't say anything, and I took my test. I'm 9. I'm not going to argue. I wasn't going to, backtalk, argue, whatever. So I took my test. And nothing was said, She didn't, acknowledge that I had been out for a week and a half. She didn't offer to give me an extension, nothing like that. Totally fine. Not a big deal, whatever. So, a couple days later, we get our test back. And, of course, I failed miserably. Because I didn't know what was on it. So, I remember thinking, great. She's going to give me grief over failing this test. She didn't say anything as she was passing out the test, so I thought, okay, maybe she's not going to say anything. Maybe I'm in the clear. No. So she gets all the tests back and she goes back to her desk and she, in front of everyone, very loudly calls across the room and says, Paula, are you sure that your handicap is only physical and not mental? Do you need to be in special ed classes? Because I think you do. Because you got the worst grade of the whole class. Y'all, my little 9-year-old self is dying inside. But, of course, I'm non-confrontational, so I don't say anything. And I just put my head down. I don't say anything for the rest of this class. Not a word. And she doesn't acknowledge me after that. Thank God. So I go on about the rest of my day, and I kind of just try to push it out of my mind, but I'm dying inside, and I cannot believe she just said this to a 9-year-old. That's just wrong. But so I go home, and as soon as I got home, my Nana looks at me and says, what's wrong? And I said, nothing, because again, I'm non-confrontational and I didn't want to cause a fight. So I said nothing. And she kind of backs off and lets it go for a little bit. But she could tell something just wasn't right. So she asked me again a couple hours later, what's wrong? And I said, well, I think a teacher might have insulted me. And she said, huh? What do you mean? What do you mean a teacher insulted you? What happened? So in the back of my little 9-year-old brain, I'm thinking, if I tell her what this teacher said to me, she's going to lose her mind. Because, fun fact, I have the sweetest nanny on the face of the planet until you do something to one of her kids. And y'all, she raised me. Her and my papa raised me from the time I was a toddler. Maybe even before that, I don't know. But very, very young. So I was pretty much, theirs. So I was thinking, if I tell her, she's going to lose it. And it's not going to end well for anybody. But, of course, she asked me, and I wasn't going to lie. So I, told her what had happened. She goes 0 to 100 like that. She starts screaming to the top of her lungs, I'm going to school. I can't believe she done this. And I'm thinking, oh no, this is not going to end well. At all. So I start begging her not to go to school. Please don't go to school. Please don't go to school. Please don't go to school. Because I know her, and I know she's very protective, and she's, she's going to make this teacher pay for what she said to me. But, of course, she doesn't listen, and she goes to school the next day. Which I probably would have done the same thing I know I would have done the same thing if it were my kid. So, anyway, she goes to school the next day, and I'm sitting in Mrs. Red's room, and the principal comes in. She pulls me out, and my Nana's standing out in the hallway, and she says, Paula, did this teacher say this to you? And I said, yeah. And the teacher was a family friend and knew me well enough to know that I wasn't the type of kid to, try to cause trouble or whatever. She knew me well enough to know that, if it hadn't been said, I wouldn't have said that it had. So I said, yeah, and so she says, okay. She said, we'll get to the bottom of it. This is not okay at all. So she tells me and my Nana to go sit in her office, and she'll be with us shortly. So we go sit in her office, and about 5 minutes go by, and Mrs. Red and the principal walk into the office. This teacher's giving me a death glare, like she wants to go through my little 9-year-old behind. Still don't say anything, put my head down, and keep my mouth shut. My nanny, on the other hand, is angry. So she goes, I cannot believe you, as an adult, had the audacity to look at my 9-year-old granddaughter and say this. And she starts going crazy. And my principal just stands there and lets her go off. Because I think in the back of my principal's mind, she wanted to lose her mind as well. But, of course, she could, there wasn't much she could say. So my grandmother is standing there screaming to the top of her lungs at this woman. And Mrs. Red is just standing there with a scowl on her face, staring me dead in my face, of course. So I'm just sitting there, wanting the ground to, open up and swallow me whole. So my Nana finishes yelling and screaming and going off on this human being. And she sits back down. She's going to watch this and be like, I can't believe you told this story, but it's okay. She knows what I'm doing, so it's all good. And it was all with good intent, y'all. She's not a mean person at all. She's a very sweet person, sometimes to a fault. She just doesn't like when people pick on her children, and I'm one of her kids, so that's just that. So she sits back down, and this teacher still isn't saying anything. She's still just kind of standing there. And the principal says, Mrs. Red, I think you owe her an apology. And Mrs. Red looks at her and says, I didn't say this. I'm not apologizing to anybody. I thought, this is where it's going to get very, very, very bad for this lady. But my nanny, she doesn't say anything else. She's sitting there and she's, staring a hole through this woman, but she doesn't say anything else because I'm sitting there and she, she already said her piece and she just doesn't say anything else. So the principal, is talking to her, and I'm just kind of sitting there thinking, oh my God, please just let us leave. Please let there be no more altercation with this human being, and let this just be over. So they're all talking for about another, 15 minutes or so. And my Nana says, well, I'm taking her and we're going home. And my principal says, that's fine. You can take her. I'm sorry about this. She didn't deserve that, and we will get to the bottom of it, and something will be done. And Mrs. Red is still staring a hole through me. Like she wants to, like, eat me or something. I don't know. It's very strange and very scary for my little 9-year-old self. So we leave. And the next morning, it was on a Saturday, I want to say, because I didn't have school. It was on a weekend. And my Nana is a very big exerciser. She's super into fitness and exercise and all that, good stuff. Unlike me, I'm not, real big into fitness, but she is. So she would go for walks. We have a park pretty close to our house that has a track. And she would go walking at this track every morning. Unfortunately, oh my God. Unfortunately, this particular morning, who does she run into? Mrs. Red. Walking on the same track. So what does my nanny do? Goes off. I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly what was said. I'm assuming it was not good. It wasn't good. Because I know my nanny, and I know how protective she is, and I knew it wasn't over at this point. I knew that office altercation wasn't the end of the story. So she comes home and she says, "Guess who I ran into?" And I'm thinking, oh dear God. I said, "Mrs. Red?" She said, "Yeah. She's not going to bother you anymore. And expect an apology on Monday." Thinking, oh no, what did you do? What have you done? But, so, I thought, okay, she has went 0 to 100 again on this woman. So I don't think about it the rest of the weekend, and I do whatever whatever 9-year-olds do on the weekends when they don't have school. Monday rolls around and I walk into Mrs. Red's class, or roll into Mrs. Red's class. And she looks at me and she goes, "Can you step out into the hallway for a second? I need to talk to you." Y'all, not gonna lie, I really didn't want to. But she's an adult. She asked me to do something, so I done it. So we went out into the hallway and she says, with the fakest smile on her face, "I just want to apologize for what I said to you. It might have been a little unfair." You think? So, being, my little elementary school self, I nodded my head and I said, "Thank you. I appreciate that. And, I'm sorry if I caused trouble or, done anything, to upset you." Even though I didn't think that I had. I just, like I said, I wanted it to be over and done with and to just move on. So, I go home and I tell my grandmother that, or excuse me, my Nana, sorry, that she apologized and everything, and she said, well, good. That's really good. So the rest of the school year goes on. I have no more incidents with this woman. I kind of keep my head low and just pray every single day that there's no more incidents with this human. So the end of the school year rolls around, and we had been hearing rumors like the last 2 weeks of school that she was retiring or being forced into retirement. But of course, being the, children, we didn't think anything of it. But sure enough, the end of the school year, she ended up retiring. Whether it was forced or she, it was just her time, I don't know. I didn't ask. None of my business. But in the back of my little 9-year-old brain, I was thinking that incident had something to do with this. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, I don't know. But yeah, that was the time I got insulted by a teacher when I was 9. Yeah. But, yeah, I think that's it. Y'all stay tuned for more story times. I am going to do, a lot more of these because there are a ton of them that I can tell. Because, my life is my life. That's all I can say about that. It's just my life. So, yeah. That's it for this video. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel down below. Little red button. Click that bell for notifications. So you'll get a notification every time I post a video, which will be at least once a week. I haven't figured out the whole schedule yet, but I will get that. We'll get that figured out soon. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. If you all want to hear more story times, be sure to let me know in the comments, because I can certainly do more of these. Like I said, my life is insane, and there's tons of more stories that I can tell. But we will see you guys in the next video, and thanks for watching.